Media fact-checker. Israel's new law imposing death penalty on Palestinians convicted of lethal attacks. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Israel's parliament passed a law making the death penalty by hanging the default punishment for Palestinians in the West Bank convicted of intentionally carrying out deadly attacks deemed acts of terrorism by military courts, Guardian, ABC. The legislation applies only to future cases and is not retroactive, sparing Palestinians freed in ceasefire deals, Guardian, ABC. Executions under the law would be carried out within 90 days of sentencing, Guardian, ABC. Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's national security minister, is a key backer of the bill and wore a noose-shaped lapel pin during debates, Guardian, ABC. The Association of Civil Rights in Israel petitioned Israel's highest court to challenge the law, calling it discriminatory by design, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian describes the law as allowing executions by hanging, electric chair, or euthanasia, with doctors' involvement, while ABC only mentions hanging as the default method. The Guardian states the law removes judicial discretion entirely, but ABC notes military courts can change the penalty to life imprisonment in special circumstances. The Guardian claims the law is part of a broader systemic dehumanization and genocide against Palestinians, while ABC focuses primarily on the legal and procedural aspects without framing it as systemic. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian researchers find vaping likely causes lung and oral cancer, urging regulatory action. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Researchers from UNSW Sydney led a review of evidence, 2017 to 2025, concluding vaping is likely to cause lung and oral cancer, published in Carcinogenesis, 2025. The review analysed animal studies, e.g., mice exposed to e-cigarette vapor developed lung tumors, human case reports, e.g., oral cancer in non-smokers with vaping history, and biomarker studies, DNA damage, inflammation. Adjunct Professor Bernard Stewart, UNSW, and Associate Professor Freddie Seeters, UNSW epidemiologist, co-authored the study, stating vaping alters cells tissues in the oral cavity and lungs. Australia's laws restrict vape sales to pharmacies for smoking cessation only, effective since 2024, per both sources. Black market vapes often contain undeclared nicotine, with inaccurate labelling being an ongoing issue, per ABC and cited by Alexander Larcombe, Curtin University. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states vaping cannot be considered safer than smoking outright, while ABC frames it as no longer considered safer but acknowledges residual uncertainty in public perception. The Guardian quotes Professor Stephen Duffy as saying it would be an overinterpretation to equate vaping harm to smoking, but ABC omits this nuance, focusing on broader harm comparisons. The Guardian highlights dual-use limbo, vapers who continue smoking, as a persistent issue, while ABC does not explicitly discuss this transition pattern. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Tiger Woods declines Ryder Cup captaincy amid DUI charges and health treatment plans. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tiger Woods turned down the 2027 Ryder Cup captaincy for the US team. Woods was granted permission by a Florida judge, Darren Steele, to leave the US for inpatient treatment abroad. Woods pleaded not guilty to suspicion of driving under the influence, DUI, after a car accident in Florida. The accident occurred on a residential road near Jupiter Island, Florida, where Woods' SUV clipped a trailer and flipped. Woods was found with 2 white pills identified as hydrocodone in his vehicle during the incident. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian says Woods was charged with driving under the influence, but ABC states he entered a not guilty plea to suspicion of driving under the influence. The Guardian mentions Woods had 4 motoring accidents since 2009, but ABC does not specify the total number of accidents. The Guardian describes the accident as a car accident involving a trailer, while ABC calls it a car crash without trailer details. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. North Korea's cyber espionage and fraud operation targeting Australian firms via fake IT jobs. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. North Korea's regime is using thousands of undercover operatives posing as remote IT workers to infiltrate Western companies, with a focus on Australia. The UN estimates North Korea's annual revenue from this operation is $800 million. ASIO, Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, has identified North Korean operatives targeting Australian firms to funnel salaries back to Pyongyang. Major Australian banks, including NAB, have been infiltrated by North Korean agents, with at least one agent discovered and subsequently sacked. The FBI identified a North Korean laptop farm operation in the US involving Christina Chapman, who was jailed for 8.5 years after funneling $17 million to North Korea. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. AFL player Tristan Xerri banned for wiping blood on opponent's face during match. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tristan Xerri was banned for 3 games for serious misconduct after allegedly wiping blood from his nose onto Essendon captain Andrew McGrath's face during a match on the 29th of March, 2025, Saturday night. The incident occurred at Docklands Stadium during North Melbourne's 12-point win over Essendon. Xerri pleaded guilty to the charge at the AFL tribunal on the 31st of March, 2025, Monday, admitting he had blood on his hand before wiping it on McGrath's face. Tribunal Chairman Jeff Gleeson KC described the act as disgraceful behaviour and noted Xerri's hand was close to McGrath's open mouth during the incident. Xerri's suspension means he will miss North Melbourne's next 3 games against Carlton, Brisbane, and Richmond. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Xerri's hand was close to McGrath's open mouth during the incident, while The Age does not mention this detail in its description of the act. The Guardian states Xerri threw himself at the mercy of the tribunal, but The Age does not reference this phrasing or tone in its coverage of Xerri's plea. The Age highlights Essendon's poor ball use and 138 marks conceded as a major factor in their loss, while The Guardian and ABC do not emphasise this aspect of the match. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Melbourne couple charged with slavery and abuse of an Indonesian woman. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Chi Kit Chong and Angie Yer Ling Lau, Malaysian nationals, are facing slavery charges in Victoria's County Court for allegedly enslaving an Indonesian woman in their Point Cook home between January and October 2022. The alleged victim, a 61-year-old Indonesian woman, was initially invited to stay for a month in early 2022 to assist with the couple's second child but was forced into servitude for nearly a year. The woman was allegedly beaten, deprived of food and sleep, and forced to sleep on the stairs or in the garage as punishment for perceived failures. Chi Kit Chong is charged with intentionally possessing a slave and 3 counts of common assault, while Angie Yer Ling Lau is charged with assisting or encouraging the slavery offence. The alleged victim was found by hospital staff in October 2022 with injuries including a swollen ear, lacerations, leg swelling, and signs of malnutrition. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports the victim was allegedly hit with a vacuum cleaner after falling asleep during a leg massage, but News Kamau does not mention this specific incident. ABC states the couple allegedly abandoned the victim in Malaysia in 2017 and left her homeless for 4 years, while News Kamau describes this as intermittent contact without explicitly stating abandonment. ABC's defense lawyer Diana Price suggests the victim may have exaggerated or embellished claims, while NEWSOMU's defense lawyer Diana Price focuses on questioning the context of the victim's contributions rather than credibility. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US fighter jet shot down over Iran, rescue operation and regional conflict escalation. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Iran claimed to have shot down a US F-15 fighter jet over southwestern Iran on Friday, March 29, 2024, with one crew member rescued and the other still missing as of Saturday, March 30, 2024. US Special Forces conducted a search and rescue operation in Iran's rugged southwest region to locate the missing pilot, with Iranian authorities urging civilians to assist in the search. Iran's military also downed a US A-10 ground attack aircraft in the Gulf, with US media reporting the pilot was rescued. Israel launched strikes in Beirut targeting Hezbollah infrastructure, including the destruction of 2 bridges over the Litani River in southern Lebanon, with reports of 23 deaths and 98 injuries in Lebanon over 24 hours. The Lebanese Health Ministry reported 1,368 deaths, including 125 children and 91 women, and 4,138 wounded since Israel's airstrikes began on March 2, with 53 health workers killed and 83 emergency facilities targeted. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Iran claimed to have shot down an F-15, while ABC states Iran's military claimed the downed jet was an F-35 single-seater. The Guardian states the US White House said Trump was briefed and the F-15 loss would not affect negotiations, but ABC does not mention this specific quote from Trump. The Guardian reports 3 tankers crossed the Strait of Hormuz by hugging Oman's shore on Friday, while ABC does not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian political polling shows Labor's declining support amid fuel crisis and Iran war backlash. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese's Labour government primary vote dropped to 31% in 2 recent polls, Newspoll and Redbridge, down from 36% in November 2023 and 34.6% at the May 2024 federal election. Pauline Hanson's One Nation primary vote was 26% in Newspoll and 29% in Redbridge, higher than the coalition's 21%, Newspoll, and 17%, Redbridge. 72% of voters disapproved of US military action against Iran in both Newspoll and Redbridge polls. 63% of voters opposed Australia providing military support in the Strait of Hormuz, with 72% across all age groups disapproving of US strikes, reported in both sources. Anthony Albanese's net approval rating was -17 in Redbridge and 57% dissatisfied with his performance in Newspoll, with 39% satisfied. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 reports One Nation's primary vote dropped to 26% in Newspoll, while Article 2 does not mention this specific drop and focuses on Labour's decline. Article 1 states One Nation's primary vote was 29% in Redbridge, up from previous polls, but Article 2 does not reference Redbridge's One Nation figure. Article 1 notes the coalition's primary vote was 21% in Newspoll and 17% in Redbridge, while Article 2 only mentions the coalition's 21% in Newspoll without Redbridge context. This story was covered by news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Western Australia invokes emergency fuel supply powers amid regional shortages. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Western Australian Premier Roger Cook activated emergency powers under the Fuel, Energy and Power Resources Act 1972 to force fuel suppliers to disclose supply chain details. 6 major fuel companies were initially contacted by the WA government for stock, shipment, and delivery information, with only 3 complying voluntarily. The emergency powers allow WA to compel transparency on fuel volumes, distribution points, and frequency of distribution to regional areas. WA Energy Minister Amberjade Sanderson stated penalties for non-compliance could reach $100,000 per day for corporations and $10,000 per day for individuals. The move follows disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict, with shortages particularly affecting agricultural and mining regions in WA. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between sources on core factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. F1 safety crisis after Oliver Bearman's high-speed crash at Japanese Grand Prix. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Oliver Bearman crashed at the 2024 Japanese Grand Prix after evading Franco Colapinto at Suzuka Circuit. Bearman's impact with the barrier was measured at 50 g, reported by ABC and Guardian. Bearman's closing speed with Colapinto was approximately 50 km per hour, ABC, 50 g impact at 307 km per hour, Guardian, 50 km per hour closing speed. Bearman escaped with only bruising and no serious injury, ABC, Guardian. The crash occurred near Spoon Curve, Turn 13, at Suzuka, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Bearman's impact speed as 50 g at 307 km per hour, while Guardian states the closing speed was 50 km per hour, not the impact speed. ABC mentions Bearman's Haas was travelling at 307 km per hour when he veered off, but Guardian does not specify this exact speed in the same way. ABC states Bearman's crash was caused by Colapinto moving off the racing line into the middle of the track, while Guardian says Colapinto was on a defensive line and did not cut across. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. 9 men arrested for alleged large-scale cocaine and meth trafficking via Bass Strait using a mothership method. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 9 men aged between 31 and 72 were arrested across Victoria and Sydney over alleged drug trafficking. 8 arrests occurred in Victoria, Morwell, Glenroy, Cranbourne West, Cranbourne South, Greenvale, and 1 in Sydney, St Clair. The investigation, Operation Bruce Cremorne, involved Australian Federal Police, Victoria Police, Australian Border Force, and the Australian Criminal Intelligence Commission. The operation lasted 10 months and began after a commercial trawler sank off Victoria's Port Albert in May 2023, raising suspicions about its crew's movements. Police allege the syndicate attempted multiple times to rendezvous in Bass Strait with a mothership to receive tons of cocaine and methamphetamine. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the syndicate allegedly tried to smuggle tons of cocaine and methamphetamine without specifying a quantity, while ABC specifies up to 3.5 tons of cocaine, no meth quantity given. The Guardian states the syndicate was using trucking connections to move drugs between states while ABC does not explicitly mention interstate distribution beyond the Bass Strait smuggling plan. The Guardian highlights 7 men facing life imprisonment for drug trafficking, but ABC does not specify the exact charges leading to life sentences beyond conspiracy to import cocaine, trafficking methamphetamine, and firearms offences. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Travel expenses and affordability of Albania compared to other European destinations. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Albania is described as Europe's most affordable destination for summer travel by the author in both articles. The author visited Albania late last northern summer, 2023, when $1 equaled 55 cents and 54 Albanian lek, later updated to 60 cents and 57 lek. The author spent €325, $574, on a hire car for the week in Albania. The author spent €21, $37, on petrol for the week in Albania. The author spent €11, $19, on coffee during the week-long trip. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two articles as they are identical in content. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Israeli death penalty law for Palestinians sparks UN and international condemnation. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Israeli Knesset passed a new death penalty bill on March 11, 2024, making the death penalty the default sentence for Palestinians in the occupied West Bank convicted of deadly terrorism attacks by military courts. UN Rights Chief Volker Turk warned the law is patently inconsistent with Israel's international law obligations and could constitute a war crime if applied in the occupied Palestinian territory. The bill allows executions to be carried out within 90 days of sentencing, with condemned individuals held in a separate facility with restricted visits and video-only legal consultations. Israel has only applied the death penalty twice since its founding, in 1948, military captain for treason, and in 1962, Adolf Eichmann for Nazi crimes. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez condemned the law as a step towards apartheid and called it an asymmetric measure with same crime, different punishment. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions the Knesset passed the bill late on Monday, local time, while The Guardian does not specify the exact timing of the passage. ABC does not mention the 90-day execution timeline explicitly, while The Guardian clearly states executions would occur within 90 days of sentencing. The Guardian quotes Oxfam's claim that Israel holds more than 9,000 Palestinians in its jails, but ABC does not provide this specific number. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US allows Russian oil tanker to deliver fuel to Cuba amid US blockade. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Russian oil tanker Anatoly Kolodkin is carrying approximately 650,000 to 730,000 barrels of oil, 650,000 per Guardian, 730,000 per ABC, bound for Cuba's Matanzas port. The vessel is sanctioned by the US, EU, and UK due to the war in Ukraine. Cuba has faced a US oil blockade, leading to severe shortages of gasoline and electricity, with blackouts and rationing since at least 3 months, Guardian, or years, ABC. The oil shipment could supply Cuba with about 180,000 barrels of diesel, covering daily demand for 9 to 10 days, ABC. US President Donald Trump stated he has no problem with the Russian tanker delivering oil to Cuba, emphasizing humanitarian relief over geopolitical implications. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the tanker carries 730,000 barrels of oil, while The Guardian reports 650,000 barrels. ABC claims the oil shipment could supply Cuba for 9 to 10 days, 180,000 barrels of diesel, but The Guardian does not specify diesel quantities or duration. The Guardian mentions the US lifted sanctions on Russia to improve oil flow after Israeli strikes on Iran, which ABC does not address. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Tropical Cyclone Narelle's rare landfall and iron-rich dust storm causing blood-red skies in Western Australia. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tropical Cyclone Narelle made landfall in Western Australia on Friday, the 27th of March, 2013, near Exmouth, about 900 kilometers north of Perth. The sky turned a deep red or blood-red color in Shark Bay, Denham, ahead of Cyclone Narelle's arrival due to iron-rich dust stirred by strong winds. The red sky was caused by iron-rich, rust-colored soil from the Pilbara region being lifted by Cyclone Narelle's winds and carried to Shark Bay. Cyclone Narelle was the first storm in over 20 years to make landfall in 3 of Australia's states or territories. The phenomenon lasted several hours, beginning around midday and clearing shortly after the wind picked up and rain arrived. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian, Article 1, does not mention cloud cover's role in intensifying the red hue, while ABC emphasizes it as a key factor. Guardian, Article 3, cites Jessica Lingard, BOM, as the expert source, but ABC cites Angus Hines, BOM senior forecaster, as the primary explainer. ABC reports the cyclone made landfall in the Food Bowl region, unspecified, while Guardian, Article 3, specifies Exmouth as the exact location. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. German TV star Collien Fernandes AI porn allegations against ex-husband Christian Ulmen spark national debate on digital violence laws. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Collien Fernandes accused Christian Ulmen of creating and distributing AI-generated deepfake pornographic images of her via fake social media accounts. Fernandes filed a legal complaint against Ulmen in Spain in 2025, citing stronger legal protections for gender-based violence there. The couple separated in 2025 after living together in Mallorca, Spain, where they resided before their split. Fernandes told Der Spiegel she discovered hundreds of fake pornographic images of her circulating online, later attributing them to Ulmen. Germany's Justice Minister Stefanie Hubig announced plans to criminalize production distribution of non-consensual deepfake porn with up to 2 years in prison. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Fernandes accused Ulmen of creating and distributing deepfakes, while Article 2 clarifies Ulmen's lawyer denies deepfakes but admits to identity impersonation, not AI-generated content. Article 1 mentions Fernandes filed a complaint in Spain in 2025, but Article 2 does not specify the exact year of the complaint filing. Article 1 states the earlier German investigation was suspended in June 2024, while Article 2 does not mention this timeline. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Former AFL player Nick Stevens convicted of fraud in pool installation scheme. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nick Stevens was found guilty on 12 counts of obtaining a financial advantage by deception and 1 charge of using a false document in the County Court of Victoria, ABC, Newscomau. Stevens was remanded in custody until his plea hearing on May 21, 2024, ABC, Newscomau. The case involved 6 families in Mildura, Victoria, who were defrauded of a total of $170,000 to $171,000 for pools they never received or had illegally installed, ABC, Newscomau. Stevens pleaded not guilty to all 14 fraud-related charges, ABC, Newscomau. Judge Fiona Todd denied an extension of Stevens' bail, stating she was unconvinced he should remain on bail, ABC, Newscomau. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Stevens was 45 years old at the time of the trial, while Newscomau states he was 46, ABC versus Newscomau. ABC mentions Stevens had financial difficulty towards the end of 2017, while Newscomau states he had stopped working on projects by early 2018, ABC versus Newscomau. ABC reports Stevens' defense argued he tried to fix them after realizing he couldn't complete the jobs, while Newscomau does not include this specific phrasing, ABC versus Newscomau. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US-Iran war escalation, Trump's threats, ceasefire talks, and regional fallout. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump threatened to obliterate or blow up Iran's Karg Island, which handles 90% of Iran's oil production, if a ceasefire deal is not reached by April 6, ABC, Guardian, Newscomau. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei called US peace proposals unrealistic, illogical, and excessive, ABC, Guardian. Thousands of US troops, including 2,500 Marines, have arrived in the Middle East, with additional forces building capacity for potential future operations, ABC, Guardian. Oil prices are on track for a record monthly rise, with Brent crude up 54% since March, Guardian, Newscomau. Israel and the US have launched strikes on Iranian military infrastructure, while Iran-backed groups, Houthi, Hezbollah, have targeted Israel and regional allies, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Guardian report Trump's deadline is April 6, but Newscomiu only states Trump extended the deadline without specifying the new date beyond April 6. ABC reports Trump's Truth Social post included threats to obliterate desalinization plants, but Guardian does not mention this detail. Guardian states Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei called US proposals excessive, unrealistic, and irrational, while ABC calls them unrealistic, illogical, and excessive, minor wording difference. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Israel's investigation into the 2024 Gaza drone strike killing Australian aid worker Zomi Frankcom and 6 colleagues. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Zomi Frankcom, 43, and 6 World Central Kitchen aid workers were killed in an Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, drone strike on their humanitarian convoy in Gaza on April 1, 2024. Australia commissioned former Defence Chief Mark Binskin to review the IDF's investigation. His August 2024 report found a significant breakdown in situational awareness and serious failures in IDF procedures. The IDF dismissed 2 officers and reprimanded 3 others over the strike, acknowledging it violated its rules of engagement. Israel's ambassador to Australia, Hillel Newman, denied the investigation was shelved, stating, "As far as I know, it has not come to a conclusion." ABC, Guardian, news.com.au. The Frankcom family has not received a personal apology or compensation from Israel, nor has the investigation's final outcome been disclosed. ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Israel's ambassador claimed Binskin's access was unprecedented, but Binskin's own report, cited by ABC and news.com.au, explicitly states he was denied the drone audio footage. The Guardian quotes Ambassador Newman dismissing journalist death figures as exaggerated, while the ABC and news.com.au do not challenge these figures but focus on the Frankcom case. The ABC states the Frankcom family has never received proper explanation or compensation, while The Guardian and news.com.au do not provide additional context on whether Israel has offered any form of partial compensation or apology. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Trump appoints JD Vance as fraud czar and targets Democratic states for alleged fraud crackdowns. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump appointed JD Vance as his fraud czar to lead a crackdown on alleged fraud in Democratic states, announced on the 4th of April, 2024. Federal officials announced 8 arrests in California on the 4th of April, 2024 for over $50 million in alleged Medicare healthcare fraud tied to sham hospice care facilities. The accused in California included healthcare professionals such as nurses and a psychologist, operating in Southern California. The arrests were part of Operation Never Say Die led by the FBI and Department of Justice, targeting hospice fraud. O'Keel Davis, assistant director at the FBI, stated the Southern California region loses hundreds of billions of dollars annually to healthcare fraud. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Trump claims there is more fraud in California than in Minnesota, but Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz denies fraud allegations entirely. Trump's administration alleges widespread healthcare fraud in California, while California's Governor Gavin Newsom attributes fraud to federal programs and states the Trump administration is trying to blame California for issues with their federal programs. Tim Walz states Trump's DOJ is gutting the U.S. Attorney's Office and crippling their ability to prosecute fraud, contradicting the reported federal arrests in California. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian tourism sector impacted by fuel shortages and rising costs ahead of Easter 2025. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Rising fuel prices driven by the Middle East conflict are causing cancellations in Australia's domestic tourism sector ahead of Easter 2025. Tourism Research Australia reported overnight visitor spending fell $2.3 billion nationally in the year to December 2025, with Victoria, $1.2 billion, NSW, $410 million, and Queensland, $379 million, hardest hit. The federal government confirmed hundreds of service stations across Australia had been impacted by fuel shortages as of early 2025. Fuel prices in Queensland reached $4.25 per litre on K'gari, Fraser Island, among the highest in the country according to RACQ. Jetstar announced it would cut about 12% of Trans-Tasman flights from May 2025 due to cost pressures, including Auckland-Sydney and Auckland-Brisbane routes. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states fuel shortages are widespread with hundreds of service stations impacted, while Article 2's RACQ expert Dr. Ian Jeffries explicitly denies fuel shortages and calls them highly unlikely. Article 1 reports airlines like Jetstar are cutting flights due to cost pressures, but Article 2 does not mention domestic Australian airline cuts beyond Jetstar's Trans-Tasman reductions. Article 1 highlights Victoria, $1.2 billion, NSW, $410 million, and Queensland, $379 million, as the top states affected by spending drops, while Article 2 focuses solely on southern Queensland's tourism sector without quantifying national impacts. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Formula 1 Japanese Grand Prix 2026 pre-race analysis and qualifying results. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Mercedes locked out the front row for the third consecutive Grand Prix with Kimi Antonelli on pole and George Russell second at Suzuka. Oscar Piastri qualified third fastest, the best non-Mercedes result, after finishing fifth in the previous two races, Australia and China. Max Verstappen failed to qualify for Q3 and will start from 11th place at the Japanese Grand Prix. The last four Japanese Grand Prix were won by the pole-sitter, with Mercedes winning the first two races of 2026, Australia and China. The race start time was delayed by 10 minutes due to damage in a support race, pushing the start to 2:10 p.m. local time. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Piastri's McLaren is not good enough to fight Mercedes for the win but notes the gap is narrowing, while The Guardian does not provide a direct quote or similar assessment from Piastri. ABC mentions a technical broadcast issue during the drivers' parade, which is not referenced in The Guardian. ABC discusses tyre strategy options, soft, medium or hard compound, in detail, while The Guardian does not mention tyre strategy at all. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Westpac CEO warns of Australian recession risks amid inflation and geopolitical tensions. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Miller, CEO of Westpac, warned in interviews with ABC's Alan Kohler that there is a chance of a recession for Australia due to inflationary pressures and geopolitical tensions. ABC News. Australia's inflation rose 3.7% in February, down 0.1% from January, but remains above the Reserve Bank of Australia's, RBA, target band of 2 to 3%, ABC. The RBA has raised interest rates twice in 2024, most recently to 4.1%, from 3.85%, in March, ABC News. Westpac's chief economist Lucy Ellis forecast 3 more interest rate hikes by August 2024, ABC. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, reported Australians lost $2.18 billion to scams in 2025, with investment scams costing $837.7 million, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Westpac's chief economist Lucy Ellis forecast 3 more rate hikes by August 2024, while Newscomau does not mention this specific forecast but focuses on Oxford Economics' oil price warning instead. ABC states the RBA's February inflation data did not capture the global energy crisis impact, which took hold in March, while Newscomau does not reference this timing detail. ABC highlights the median house price as $933,137 and emphasizes supply constraints in the $600,000 to $700,000 range, but Newscomau does not discuss housing affordability or supply issues. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Victorian government expands classroom device ban to include smartwatches and headphones. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Victorian public and private, including Catholic, schools will ban internet-enabled smartwatches and wireless headphones from Term 1 2027 under new legislation introduced January 27, 2024. Mobile phones have been banned in Victorian public schools since 2020, with an independent review showing improved student focus, socialisation, and reduced device-related incidents. Education Minister Ben Carroll stated the phone ban led to more focused on class and being more social and fewer incidents involving devices. Smartwatches with notifications, internet connection, or recording functions will be restricted to disable these features during school hours. The policy applies to all 233 independent schools, 300-plus government schools, and Catholic schools in Victoria. But not all outlets told the same story. Thege reports Caroline Chisholm Catholic College initially adopted a philosophical approach to phone bans post-pandemic, while Newscomau and ABC do not mention this detail. ABC notes mixed parental views on the ban's effectiveness, but Thege and Newscomau do not discuss parental opposition or nuanced reactions. Thege states the policy will apply to all private and Catholic schools as part of their compliance through the Victorian Registration and Qualifications Authority, while ABC and Newscomau frame it as schools requesting inclusion. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Missing woman search at Western Australia coastal lookout. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Naomi Marie Duckett, 51, is missing after being last seen at the Gap Natural Bridge in Torndirrup National Park near Albany on April 2 at 11:45 a.m. Sergeant Vaughan Mackay is the lead officer for the search operation in Albany. Public access to the Gap Natural Bridge is closed during the search. Search efforts include helicopter, 2 watercraft, local police, police air wing, drones, and water police. The Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions and the City of Albany are assisting with the operation. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Nicole Daedone's prison sentence for running One Taste's orgasmic meditation scheme. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nicole Daedone was sentenced to 9 years in federal prison for forced labor conspiracy in March 2024. Daedone was ordered to forfeit $12 million and 7 victims received roughly $890,000 in restitution. One Taste's orgasmic meditation, OM, involved women lying unclothed in a nest while a man stroked their clitoris for 15 minutes in a goalless practice. Daedone sold One Taste for $12 million in 2017 before controversies emerged. Rachel Cherwitz, One Taste's former sales director, was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for her role in the scheme. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Daedone was sentenced in March 2024, but Article 2 clarifies the conviction occurred in June 2023 with sentencing in March 2024. Article 1 mentions Daedone's sale of One Taste in 2017. Fast forward to this March 2024, while Article 2 explicitly states she sold it in 2017, a year before controversies emerged. Article 1 describes the clitoral stroking as targeting the upper left quadrant, claimed by Daedone, but does not include this detail in Article 2's summary of the practice. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Queensland's Easter weekend weather forecast and lingering wet season impacts. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Queensland is transitioning from the wet season into drier winter conditions with longer spells of sunny weather and cooler temperatures. Far North Queensland, e.g., Cairns to Cardwell, will experience heavier, more persistent rain throughout Easter weekend, with localised falls potentially exceeding 100 mm, e.g., Cassowary Coast and Daintree. Tropical low 37U near the Solomon Islands has a moderate chance of intensifying into a cyclone starting Saturday, with a high chance from Sunday onward, though its exact path remains uncertain. Coastal areas between the Gold Coast and north of Townsville will see brief, light showers with rainfall totals unlikely to exceed 20 mm over the 4-day Easter weekend. The Daintree River peaked at 4.85 meters on Thursday due to heavy rainfall, with the Low Isles recording over 1,500 mm of rain this year, including 815 mm in March alone. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states rainfall totals for coastal areas will not go above 20 mm over Easter, while Article 2 reports localized falls, between 50 and 100 mm, maybe even locally more for the Cassowary and Daintree coast. Article 1 claims rainfall totals are unlikely to go above 20 mm over the 4-day-long weekend for coastal areas, but Article 2 explicitly mentions parts of the north expecting rainfall in the triple digits. Article 1 does not mention tropical low 37U or its potential to develop into a cyclone, while Article 2 details its formation chances and potential impact on Queensland's weather. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Neo-Nazi Joel Davis granted bail after threats against female MPs and social media hate speech. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Joel Davis, 30 or 31, is a prominent neo-Nazi figure charged with allegedly inciting others to rhetorically rape federal MP Allegra Spender in November 2024. Davis was granted bail at the fourth attempt after being denied 3 times previously, with his latest hearing held in the NSW Supreme Court on the 28th of March, 2024. Davis was arrested in November 2024 for allegedly posting on a neo-Nazi Telegram channel asking users to rhetorically rape MP Allegra Spender, who condemned a neo-Nazi rally outside NSW Parliament. Davis was kept in segregation at Long Bay Jail due to his political beliefs, with reports stating he had not been outside since December 2023 and showered only every 4 days. Davis allegedly made additional violent messages, including "We need a brutal rape of this C***T, he deserves rape and stupid bitch needs to be beaten" fr targeting MPs Kelly Sloan and Julie Inman Grant. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Davis was 30 years old, while The Guardian states he is 31. ABC states Davis was denied bail 3 times in the local court before the Supreme Court hearing, while The Guardian does not specify the number of local court denials. ABC reports Davis was removed from the NSN by Jack Eltis after the rhetorical rape comments, but The Guardian does not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Climate change threatens extinction of superb fairy wren within 30 to 40 years. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Researchers predict the superb fairy wren species could go extinct between 2059 and 2062 due to climate change impacts, under intermediate and very high greenhouse gas emission scenarios. The superb fairy wren population at the Australian National Botanic Gardens in Canberra experienced a 50% mortality rate in 1 year, 2024, the largest loss recorded in a single 12-month period. Another group of superb fairy wrens, 8 kilometers away in the foothills of Mount Ainslie, recorded a 70% mortality rate over the winter of 2025. The The study, published in Nature found that climate change caused declines in the species through low fecundity during dry springs and reduced survival during unusually warm winters and hot summers. The superb fairy wren was voted Australia's favourite bird in 2013 and 2021 contests conducted by The Guardian and BirdLife Australia. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the study was published after a 50% mortality rate in 2024, while The Guardian does not specify the exact year of the mortality event but mentions last year without a precise date. ABC reports the pied currawong decline as a potential indirect benefit to fairy wrens, while The Guardian does not mention this predator relationship in its coverage. ABC highlights that the study focused on the Australian National Botanic Gardens as the most densely populated area, implying broader regional variability, whereas The Guardian does not explicitly address this spatial variation. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Romanian nationals charged for stealing wallets from elderly Queensland shoppers via scam. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 3 Romanian nationals, 2 men aged 49 and 42, 1 woman aged 29, were arrested in 8 Mile Plains on the 28th of March, 2024 for allegedly targeting elderly victims, ages 70 to 94, at Queensland shopping centres. Victims were distracted by claims of dropped wallets while their cards were stolen for fraudulent use at ATMs or grocery payments. The scam occurred in shopping centres across Kenmore, Chermside, Strathpine, North Lakes, Buddina, Caloundra, and Laidley. Police seized approximately $20,000 from a unit complex in 8 Mile Plains during the arrests. The 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman were charged with multiple counts of fraud, 5 and 8 respectively, stealing, 4 each, and enter with intent, 2 each, and refused bail. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian court hearing on extradition of Chilean Pinochet-era torture suspect Adriana Rivas. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Adriana Rivas is a 72-year-old Australian resident accused of kidnapping and torture during Chile's Pinochet dictatorship in the 1970s. Chile formally requested her extradition in 2014, and she has been in detention in Australia since 2019 awaiting removal. Rivas worked for the Pinochet regime's secret police, National Intelligence Directorate, from 1973 to 1977 before moving to Australia in 1978. Chilean prosecutors allege she was involved in the kidnapping, interrogation, and disappearances of 7 victims, including alleged torture via electric shocks and waterboarding. A former servant at Simon Bolivar Barracks testified in 2014 that Rivas participated in torture sessions and recorded confessions. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, ABC, reports previously unreported emails suggesting DFAT consular officials may have aided Rivas's escape, but DFAT denies any record of such assistance. Article 1, ABC, states Rivas was arrested in Chile in 2007 on aggravated kidnapping charges, while no source confirms this exact arrest date in SBS articles. Article 1, ABC, claims Rivas's extradition request has been pending since 2014 and she has been detained since 2019, but SBS articles do not specify detention start dates. This story was covered by ABC News and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Queensland Rail industrial action disrupting train services in April 2024. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. No trains operated between Darra and Rosewood, Ipswich Line, and Central and Cleveland on Wednesday, April 1st, due to industrial action. Queensland Rail warned commuters of disruptions on Wednesday, April 1st, and potential further disruptions on Thursday, April 2nd, due to industrial action. The Rail, Tram and Bus Union, RTBU, Queensland President Steph White stated train control members took low-impact industrial action for 24 hours starting 12 a.m. on April 1st, targeting coal and mineral trains, not passenger services. Queensland Rail confirmed about 300 services were cancelled on Wednesday, April 1st, on the Ipswich and Cleveland lines due to the dispute. Negotiations between Queensland Rail and unions, including RTBU and ETU, began in January 2024, covering approximately 5,600 rail workers. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Queensland Rail did not tell workers not to attend work, but RTBU President Steph White claims workers were prevented from working by government QR decision. ABC reports Queensland Rail advised members they would not be paid if not performing full duties, while ETU claims the government threatened workers with no pay for participating in minor actions. News Kamau claims the union intended to target only coal and freight operations, but ABC's Steph White says the government escalated the dispute by preventing workers from performing their jobs. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Angus Taylor's car theft and coalition's fuel excise demands amid fuel crisis. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Angus Taylor's car was stolen on March 27 from an address in Canberra's inner south. The stolen vehicle was located later that day in Turner, a North Canberra suburb. ACT policing confirmed the theft and took the car for forensic examination. The incident occurred just before Taylor was set to attend a coalition press conference at a petrol station. Taylor, Matt Canavan, and Bridget McKenzie held a press conference calling for the Albanese government to halve the fuel excise. But not all outlets told the same story. SMH states Taylor's car was empty and running into the red, while News Kamau does not mention fuel levels or the car's condition. SMH implies the theft was reported just hours before the press conference, but News Kamau states the theft occurred the morning of the press conference. SMH includes details about Gina Reinhardt's pack appearance and attire, which are not referenced in News Kamau. This story was covered by news.com.au and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Kieran Foran's debut as Manly-Warringah Sea Eagles interim head coach ahead of NRL match versus Dolphins. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kieran Foran took over as Manly Sea Eagles head coach on, date implied, Friday, after Anthony Seibold was sacked. Foran's first match as head coach is against the Dolphins at Redcliffe on Thursday night, live coverage mentioned. Foran is 35 years old and is among the youngest to take charge of an NRL side this century. 9 of Foran's former Manly teammates remain at the club from his 2022 season. Foran previously played his last NRL game less than 6 months before becoming head coach. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Foran's first match is on Thursday night, while the live blog implies it is happening during a live broadcast on a long weekend. No direct date conflict but framing differs. Article 1 highlights Foran's fastest shift from NRL player to head coach this century, while the live blog does not emphasize this aspect. Article 1 includes specific names, Matt Bolin, Brad Arthur, as frontrunners for the full-time job, but the live blog does not mention them. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. TT Line introduces 15% fuel surcharge on Spirit of Tasmania ferries due to rising fuel costs. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. TT Line introduced a 15% fuel surcharge on new Spirit of Tasmania ferry tickets effective immediately, both sources. Fuel prices for TT Line increased by 80%, both sources. TT Line projects $50 million in losses due to rising fuel costs, both sources. The surcharge applies only to new ticket purchases, not existing bookings, both sources. Ken Konofsky is the chairman of TT Line, both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau specifies the surcharge for a porthole cabin with a high vehicle costs $147, but ABC does not provide this exact breakdown. ABC highlights TT Line's insolvency declaration by Tasmania's Auditor General last year, while News Kamau does not mention this. News Kamau states the surcharge is temporary but also flags it could remain even after fuel prices drop, while ABC emphasizes the temporary nature more explicitly. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. International coalition meeting to reopen Strait of Hormuz amid Iran blockade. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A virtual meeting of 35 to 40 countries, including Australia, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Japan, Canada, South Korea, New Zealand, UAE, Nigeria, was held on the 29th of March, 2024 to discuss reopening the Strait of Hormuz, excluding the US. Foreign Minister Penny Wong represented Australia at the meeting, which was convened by UK Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. The Strait of Hormuz carries 15 to 25% of the world's seaborne oil and gas supplies, with 1,000 to 2,000 ships and 20,000 seafarers currently stranded due to Iran's partial blockade. Australia has deployed an E-7 Wedgetail surveillance aircraft to the UAE, contributing to Gulf defense efforts. Donald Trump publicly stated that securing the Strait of Hormuz was not America's responsibility and urged allies to go get your own oil. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and News Corp Australia report Australia may have deployed -90 SAS operatives to the Middle East, but the government denies offensive action and only confirms defense support for Gulf partners. The Guardian states Iran has laid mines in the strait, while ABC does not mention mines but focuses on Iran's partial blockade and attacks on vessels. Donald Trump's claim that Iran offered a ceasefire was denied by Iran's parliament head, per News Corp Australia, though Trump's tweet was widely reported. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US Supreme Court hearing on Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump attended oral arguments at the US Supreme Court on February 21, 2024, making him the first sitting president to do so. The Supreme Court heard arguments over whether Trump's executive order could strip birthright citizenship from children born in the US to undocumented immigrants or temporary residents. The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was affirmed by the Supreme Court in United States v. Wong Kim Ark 1898, and has been interpreted as granting birthright citizenship broadly for over 125 years. The Trump administration argues the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" in the 14th Amendment excludes children of undocumented immigrants or those with temporary status. The Migration Policy Institute estimated Trump's order would increase the unauthorized immigrant population by 2.7 million by 2045 and 5.4 million by 2075, based on 255,000 affected births annually. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Trump left the courtroom after the government's arguments concluded, while Article 2 does not specify his departure time but implies he remained for the full session. Article 1 emphasizes that a majority of justices remained skeptical of Trump's efforts, while Article 2 frames it as unclear how many justices might side with Trump without a definitive majority. Article 1 does not mention Trump's public statements about other countries selling citizenships or his "stupid court" remark, which Article 2 includes. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US government shutdown over DHS funding dispute with focus on ICE and TSA pay delays. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has been without full funding since mid-February 2024 due to a partisan standoff. Democrats refused to fund DHS unless Republicans agreed to new guardrails on ICE agents, including bans on wearing masks and requiring judicial warrants for residential arrests. The Senate passed a bipartisan bill on March 2024 funding most of DHS, excluding ICE and parts of CBP, which was rejected by the House Republicans. House Republicans passed their own bill on March 2024 funding all of DHS for 60 days, which Senate Democrats vowed to block with a filibuster. Donald Trump signed an executive order on March 2024 ordering TSA employees to receive back pay, easing airport security delays. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states House Republicans initially passed their own 60-day DHS bill but later agreed to drop it, while Article 3 claims they passed a stopgap 8-week funding bill late on Friday without taking up the Senate's measure. Article 1 reports Thune and Johnson agreed to advance the Senate's DHS bill, excluding ICE-CBP, after House Republicans initially rejected it, but Article 3 describes the House passing a competing full funding bill instead. Article 1 mentions Trump endorsing the plan to use reconciliation for ICE-CBP funding by June 1, 2024, while Article 3 does not mention this timeline or reconciliation process. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. NRL legend Nathan Merritt's cancer diagnosis and South Sydney's Legacy Bell appearance. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nathan Merritt has stage 4 cancer affecting his liver and esophagus. Merritt has been given approximately 12 months to live by doctors. Merritt will ring the Legacy Bell for South Sydney against the Bulldogs on Good Friday at Accor Stadium. Merritt scored 154 career tries, 146 for South Sydney, and last played for the club in 2023. Merritt underwent 2 rounds of chemotherapy and will start a third at the end of next month. But not all outlets told the same story. SMH reports Merritt scored 154 career tries, 135 for Souths, while Newscamau states 146 tries for Souths only. No contradictions found in other factual claims between sources. This story was covered by news.com.au and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. 2 NSW teenagers arrested over alleged extremist material and terror probe in Moree. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 2 teenagers, aged 15 and 16, from Moree in northern NSW, were charged with possessing or transmitting violent extremist material. The investigation began in December 2024 after New England police received reports a teenager was allegedly accessing extremist material online. On the 27th of March, 2024, police searched a home and seized a mobile phone, a ballistic style vest, and several notebooks from the 15-year-old boy. On the 28th of March, 2024, NSW Joint Counter-Terrorism Team conducted further raids at 2 Moree homes, seizing handwritten notes and extremist literature. The 15-year-old was charged with knowingly collecting or making documents connected with terrorism and using a carriage service to transmit violent extremist material. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the investigation began in December 2024, but Newscom Australia does not specify the year of the December report. The Guardian states the 15-year-old was charged at the time of the 27th of March search, while Newscom Australia does not explicitly confirm this initial charge. No contradictions in key details like dates, charges, or locations, both sources align on core facts. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. WNBA expansion draft selects 3 Australian players for new teams Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nyadu Puok was selected by the Portland Fire in the WNBA expansion draft as the 16th overall pick. Chloe Bibby was selected by the Portland Fire as the 11th overall pick in the expansion draft. Christy Wallace was selected by the Toronto Tempo as the 21st overall pick, ABC, or 23rd overall pick, Guardian. The WNBA expansion draft occurred ahead of the 2025 season opener on May 8. The WNBA draft to complete rosters will be held on April 13, 2025. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Christy Wallace was picked 21st by the Toronto Tempo, while The Guardian says she was picked 23rd. ABC does not mention Bridget Carlton or Julie Alamand being selected in the expansion draft, but The Guardian does. ABC notes the salary cap increase as $10 million AUD for the new cap, while The Guardian specifies $7 million USD and $10 million AUD, with $1.4 million USD max salary. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Barbie Dream Fest event failure and fan refunds. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The event was called Barbie Dream Fest and took place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in 2024. Tickets ranged from $69 day pass to $449 $655 for the Dream Pass, as reported by both sources. The event was organized by Mischief Management, which licensed the Barbie brand from Mattel. Attendees described the life-sized Barbie Dream House as a cheap backdrop with a picnic table on fake turf. The roller disco was a 20x 40-foot square of concrete with minimal decoration, per both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reported the day pass was $69 US, while The Guardian reported it as $72, £54 equivalent. ABC stated the Dream Pass was $449 US, while The Guardian stated it was $452.50 US. ABC described the roller disco as small and only big enough for kids, while The Guardian called it a 20x 40-foot square of concrete without specifying size limitations. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Fair Work Commission abolishes junior pay rates for 18 to 20-year-olds in Australia. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Fair Work Commission abolished junior pay rates for employees aged 18 to 20 in retail, fast food, and pharmacy sectors. Around 500,000 workers are estimated to be eligible for the pay rise under the changes. Junior pay rates previously paid 18-year-olds 70% of the award rate, 19-year-olds 80%, and 20-year-olds 90% of the adult rate. The changes apply to the General Retail Industry Award, Fast Food Industry Award, and Pharmacy Industry Award. Junior rates will remain in place for employees under 18 years old. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Guardian both mention the phase-in period of up to 4 years, but ABC does not specify the 6-month employment requirement mentioned by The Guardian. No contradictions found regarding the number of workers affected, 500,000, or the specific age groups impacted, 18 to 20. No contradictions found regarding the industries affected, retail, fast food, pharmacy, or the awards involved. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Jackie Henderson sues ARN Media for $82 million wrongful termination after radio show collapse. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jackie Henderson filed a legal action against ARN Media in federal court claiming at least $82,250,000 in compensation for wrongful termination of her 10-year contract for the Kyle and Jackie O show on Kiss 1065 Sydney. ARN Media confirmed Henderson's termination followed a complaint letter alleging psychosocial health and safety issues and bullying by Kyle Sandilands, dated after the February 2026 on-air row. ARN Media disputes Henderson's claims and will defend the proceedings, with the lawsuit filed against Commonwealth Broadcasting Corporation Party Limited, CBC, a subsidiary of ARN. The Kyle and Jackie O show ended abruptly in February 2026 after an on-air dispute between Henderson and Kyle Sandilands, who was also terminated from his $100 million contract. Henderson and Sandilands had a combined $200 million contract with ARN Media spanning over 25 years of partnership. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources on core factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. King Charles III state visit to the US amid Iran war tensions and political backlash. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. King Charles III and Queen Camilla will visit the US as a state visit between April the 27th and 30th, 2025, per both sources. The visit is the first by a British monarch to the US in nearly 20 years, following Queen Elizabeth II's 2007 trip, per both sources. King Charles is expected to address the US Congress during the visit, per both sources. Donald Trump confirmed the visit on Truth Social, stating he greatly respects the king and looks forward to meeting him, per both sources. France, Spain, and Italy have restricted US military airspace or denied landing rights for US warplanes over Iran war operations, per both sources. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Trump called UK aircraft carriers toys and unwanted last week, but The Guardian does not quote this exact criticism. ABC reports Trump's Truth Social post urging the UK to go and get their own oil from the Strait of Hormuz, while The Guardian only mentions contempt without this specific quote. ABC includes the 250th anniversary of American independence as a key event during the visit, but The Guardian does not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US imposes 100% tariff on imported patented pharmaceuticals, impacting Australian exporters like CSL. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump signed an executive order imposing a 100% tariff on patented pharmaceuticals manufactured outside the US on July 31, 2025, ABC, SMH, Thij, Newscamau, Guardian. Australia exported approximately $1.32 to $2 billion worth of pharmaceuticals to the US in 2024 to 2025, Newscamau, ABC, Guardian. CSL, ASX-listed biotech firm, is Australia's largest pharmaceutical exporter to the US, with manufacturing plants in the US, Australia, and Europe, SMH, Thij, Newscamau, Guardian. CSL announced a $1.5 to $2.2 billion expansion of its US manufacturing facility in Kankakee, Illinois, set to complete by 2031, SMH, Newscamau, Guardian. The tariff applies to patented drugs only, excluding generic medicines, Newscamau, ABC. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscamau reports Australia exported $1.32 billion in pharmaceuticals to the US in 2025, while ABC and Guardian report $1.32 billion. ABC uses 2024 data. SMH and Thij do not mention the most favored nation deals struck by AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer, which Newscamau explicitly states were already negotiated. ABC states Trump previously said the tariff could be as high as 200%, but this detail is not mentioned in SMH, Thij, or Newscamau. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis.